Good morning. Welcome students to the YouTube live class. The topic of discussion for today is the features of kingdom Monera and its classification. So, in the last class we had discussed about the 5 kingdom classification system, and the 5 kingdoms there were kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, the fungi, plantae and animalia as proposed by R.H. Whitaker in 1969. So, today we shall discuss about kingdom Monera, the salient features and the organisms that belong to kingdom Monera. So, the salient features of this kingdom was it is the simplest kingdom. It is the simplest kingdom where it is consisting of all prokaryotic organism. So, as we had seen, it consists of all prokaryotic organisms. So, the organism here is always unicellular in its body constitution. So, what are the characteristic features of this kingdom that we shall see in the main points. So, the salient features of this kingdom Monera, as the first point we take is it consists of all prokaryotic organism. What we mean by prokaryotic organism is that the nucleus is not well defined, nuclear membrane is not present, and the DNA is free in the protoplasm or cytoplasm. So, the Monerans have a cell wall made of peptidoglycan as we had discussed, and the membrane bound organelles like mitochondria, Golgi body, endoplasmic reticulum are all absent. So, the ribosomes present are smaller, they are of simple 70S type ribosome, and if the flagella is present, it is monofibrillar or made of protein flagellin. So, the next features that are present are the reproduction in kingdom Monera occurs mainly by binary fission, and genetic recombination can occur in many of the Monerans. So, Monerans in their mode of nutrition also are mainly heterotrophs. They are either parasites, saprophytes or symbionts, and the autotrophic forms can be photoautotrophic or chemoautotrophic. So, photoautotrophic forms, they use sunlight, have pigment chlorophyll and can prepare their own food, whereas the chemoautotrophic forms here utilize chemical, organic or inorganic substances to break down them, release energy and use it to prepare their food. So, as we know, many of the Monerans, they cause diseases in humans as well as plants and animals. Monerans, however, are important in the biosphere because they are the most important decomposing organisms or mineralizations in the biosphere. These were the common salient features of kingdom Monera. So, going to who all are present in the kingdom Monera. So, this is classification of kingdom Monera. So, in kingdom Monera, it includes mainly 4 groups, that is eubacteria, the archaebacteria, cyanobacteria and the mycoplasma group. So, in this class we shall discuss one by one the features of eubacteria, the archaebacteria, cyanobacteria and the mycoplasma group with their importance. So, coming first to eubacteria. So, eubacteria, as we know, are the true bacterial forms or the present day bacteria. So, the present atmospheric condition or the environmental condition, the bacteria that are present are called as the eubacterial form. So, these bacteria were discovered by Antony von Leeuwenhoek in 1676, and the name bacteria was given by Christian Ehrenberg in 1828. Actually, the term bacteria means it is a small stick or a small structure. So, eubacteria are the present forms of bacteria that we see around. So, these bacteria are widely distributed in air, water as well as soil. There are different types or shapes of bacteria that you can see in the figure. The simple rounded bacteria are called as the coccus form. So, whenever a bacterial name contains coccus in its term, that means it is a simple spherical or a round shaped bacteria. So, we can see Micrococcus in the figure is a single rounded bacterium structure. When it becomes a Diplococcus, two cells of coccus bacteria remain in a pair, and when it is Tetracoccus, there are 4 cocci bacteria in a tetrad or in number of 4. When it is a Sarcina, that is 8 cocci in the form of a cube. So, cube is present in case of the Sarcina. Similarly, when it is a Streptococcus, the round bacteria are present as a filament, and in the Staphylococcus form, they form a bunch like the bunch of grapes. So, here these are all unicellular forms, but they remain attached together and they form a definite shape of the bacteria. Similarly, when the bacteria name contains Bacillus, the Bacillus is a rod shaped bacterium, and it can be in the form of a Diplobacilli, that is in the form of a pair, Streptobacilli in case of a chain, example Bacillus anthracis, and Palisade bacillus where the rod shaped bacteria are stacked or placed over each other. The third next shape of the bacterium is a spirillum, or it is a spiral, it is coiled, and when it is several times coiled or several curves are present, the shape is called as a spirochete, and when you have a comma shaped bacterium, it is called vibrio, example Vibrio cholerae, and the mycelial form, that is filamentous forms, are called as mycelial. Sometimes you have a stalk, that is stalked or the budded form of the bacteria. So, these are general bacterial shapes that we come across, the most common being the spirillum, bacillus, coccus and the vibrio shapes. So, the bacterial size is very small, it is microscopic. We measure the diameter of the bacterium or the length in terms of micrometers or μm, where 1 micrometer is 10 to the power minus 6 meter. The structure of a bacterial eubacterial cell, the figure shows you the ultrastructure of a bacterial cell or the complete internal structure of the bacterial cell, which we shall discuss in detail. So, coming to the structures that can be present in a bacterial cell, we see in the figure the outermost layer is the capsule, below the capsule we find the cell wall, then the plasma membrane, then the protoplasm or cytoplasm, the nucleoid or DNA that is present free in the cytoplasm, flagellum for locomotion, then the plasmid and the mesosome 70S ribosomes and the pilus or the pili. So, these are generalized structures that can be seen in the ultrastructure of a bacterial cell. So, going to the structure of a bacterial cell, we shall see the different points or the different layers of a bacterial cell. So, if we draw the generalized bacterial cell, so if this is the cell of a bacterium, then you have this as the cell membrane, then outer to the cell membrane there is a cell wall. In some of the bacteria, the cell wall may have an outer layer which is called as the capsule layer. So these are generalized structures that can be seen inside a microbial structure or a bacterial cell. So this is the protoplasm with all different types of structures inside the bacterium. So coming to the different layers of the bacterial cell, the first layer we shall see is the cell wall. So this is the cell wall. So cell wall is a rigid layer that is present over the cell membrane in a bacterial cell. What is the characteristic feature of the cell wall? This cell wall is made up of a compound called peptidoglycan. So the compound it is made up of is called peptidoglycan. So peptidoglycan is a polysaccharide that is made up of two amino sugars. One can be designated as NAG and the other as NAM. NAG stands for N-acetyl glucosamine and NAM stands for N-acetyl muramic acid. So these two amino sugars, they are cross-linked by a tetrapeptide bond. So they are cross-linked by a tetrapeptide bond. So this tetrapeptide bond joins the alternate layers of NAG and NAM to form the peptidoglycan compound. So the cell wall is a characteristic feature of any bacterial cell. Based on the property of the cell wall, the bacteria have been grouped into two groups. One is called gram-positive bacteria and the other group is called gram-negative bacteria. So one group is gram-positive and the other is gram-negative. How they were separated? The separation was based on the dyeing pattern or coloring pattern of the bacteria. Hans Christian Gram, a Dutch biologist, he used the dye called crystal violet to color the bacteria or stain the bacteria. This crystal violet dye is purple or bluish in color. The bacteria that retain the crystal violet color after staining are called gram-positive bacteria. The bacteria that lose the crystal violet color after staining and washing with alcohol, they are called as gram-negative bacteria. This difference is due to the property of their cell wall. The cell wall in gram-positive bacteria mainly contains large amounts of peptidoglycan, whereas the cell wall in a gram-negative bacteria contains less amount of peptidoglycan but is made of compounds like lipopolysaccharides. So the amount of lipid is more in case of gram-negative bacteria. Further, the gram-positive bacteria, they also have teichoic acids in their cell wall. So teichoic acid is present in the cell wall of gram-positive bacteria. So basically, we get two different groups of bacteria, that is gram-positive and the gram-negative bacterial groups. So the cell wall is the main characteristic feature. It is a rigid layer that is present over the cell membrane. Also, it provides shape to the bacterial cell. It helps in attachment and also protects the bacterial cell. The layer present below the bacterial cell wall is called as the cell membrane. The cell membrane is a lipoproteinaceous membrane. So it is made up of lipids and protein. So the major function of the cell membrane is transport of molecules in and out of the cell. So it is a selectively permeable membrane or a semi-permeable membrane, allowing the selective movement of molecules in and out of the cell. In some of the bacteria, in addition to the cell membrane and cell wall, you also have another layer which is called sometimes as the glycocalyx or the capsule layer. So this capsule layer is not a compulsory layer in many bacteria. So it may be present in some of the bacteria or absent in others. So this capsule layer is mostly slimy or made up of polysaccharides composed of dextrin and levain. So this capsule layer is again another protective layer present in case of many bacteria. This capsule also may sometimes provide the disease causing ability for many of the bacteria like Diplococcus pneumoniae. Whenever it consists of a capsule over the cell wall, it can cause pneumonia. So it also provides the disease causing ability, protects the bacterial cell from desiccation or dehydration or loss of water. So the capsule may be present as an extra layer that is around the bacterial cell. Coming to the internal structure of the bacterium, so enclosed by the cell membrane, you have the fluid part of the bacterium, which is your protoplasm or the cytoplasm. So the protoplasm in a bacterial cell is fluid in nature. It consists of sugar, amino acids, the different types of ions, and the protoplasm in a bacterial cell does not contain any membrane bound organelle. There is no membrane bound organelle present, that is mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum. All that we find in the eukaryotic cell is not present in case of the protoplasm of bacterium. So the protoplasm here, as you can see, is devoid of any membrane bound organelle. But what you can find is the presence of polyribosome of 70S ribosome types. So 70S ribosome is present for protein synthesis in the bacterial cell. What else can be seen? You can find different types of storage granule in a bacterial cell. So storage granules are commonly found in the bacterial cell. They help to store different types of products. Some of the common storage granules that you can see, one is called the PHB granule or polyhydroxybutyrate granule, storing excess of carbon compound. The generalized other compound is the volutin granule. So the volutin granule stores compounds of phosphates. So these are also commonly found inside a bacterial cell. If the bacterium is photosynthetic and it contains the chlorophyll pigment, then you can also see the presence of photosynthetic lamellae. Photosynthetic lamellae, where there is concentration of bacteriochlorophyll pigments, can be seen in the autotrophic or the photosynthetic forms of bacteria. In addition to all these structure, some of the bacterium, they have the mesosome. So mesosomes are structures which are found in the gram-positive bacteria. So in the gram-positive bacteria, the mesosome is a tubular packet-like structure, and it is the infolding of the bacterial cell membrane. So bacterial cell membrane is folded into the protoplasm to form a tubular packet-like structure, and this structure helps to increase the surface area of the membrane. So it increases the surface area of the membrane. So in the membrane or mesosome present in the bacteria, it increases the surface area. It helps to hold more number of respiratory enzymes on its surface. As mitochondria is absent in the bacteria, the respiratory enzymes are generally located on the cell membrane. So, whenever they are present on the cell membrane, presence of a mesosome helps to hold more number of respiratory enzyme as it increases the surface area. The mesosome also may help in the separation of DNA during DNA replication. So, that also occurs in the bacterial cell. So, bacterial cell can have the mesosome to increase the surface area of the membrane. So, these are structures that can be present in a protoplasm. Sometimes in addition to the main DNA, we can also have extra small circular DNAs called as the plasmids. Plasmids are again simple circular double-stranded DNA containing certain extra gene for the bacterium, like they can be for fertility plasmid, for genetic recombination, they can be plasmids for antibiotic resistance. So, these are extra characteristic gene present in a bacterial cell. The most important part of the protoplasm now is the nucleoid. So, what is a nucleoid? As we know, in a bacterial cell, the nuclear membrane is absent. There is no formation of any nuclear membrane. The DNA therefore is free in the cytoplasm. It is a single circular double-stranded DNA. So, this is a single circular double-stranded DNA. This is a double-stranded DNA and it is coiled in the center of the cell or anywhere in the protoplasm of the cell. As it is not a proper nucleus, the structure is called as a nucleoid. So, nucleoid here is simple and it is not associated with any histone protein as in case of eukaryotic cells. So, histone protein is absent in the bacterial DNA. So, this DNA of bacteria contains all the essential genes that is required for the survival of a bacterial cell. So, this is the characteristic feature of the nucleoid or the genophore of the bacterial cell. The other structures here we can see, one, this structure is called as the flagellum and these structure are called as the pili. So, what is a flagellum and what are pili? So, the flagellum is a long thread-like structure that can be present in some of the bacterial cell and these long thread-like structures are called as the flagella. So, what is the function of the flagellum? The flagellum helps in the process of locomotion or movement of the bacterial cell. This flagellum is made up of a protein called flagellin. So, the protein that is composing the flagellum is protein flagellin. So, there is a basic difference between the flagellum structure of a prokaryotic cell like bacterium and the eukaryotic protozoan cells. Here, the bacterial flagellum is always monofibrillar. So, this term monofibrillar shows 1 plus 0 arrangement. What is monofibrillar? Mono is 1, fibril is fiber. So, it consists of a single fiber to form the flagellum. Whereas, we will see later that in the eukaryotic flagellum, the arrangement of the protein is in the form of 9 plus 2 arrangement. So, 9 plus 2 fibrillar arrangement has 2 central fibrils surrounded by 9 double fiber fibrils to form one single flagellum. So, here this flagellum is always monofibrillar in a bacterial cell. The pili, on the other hand, are short hair-like structures present in some of the bacteria like Escherichia coli, and these pili are made up of a protein called as pillin. So, they are made up of protein called as pillin, and they help in the process of attachment. So, the first function is the attachment to any surface can be done by the help of the pillin. Further, during the process of conjugation, they also help to form the conjugation tube. So, the conjugation tube is also formed by the pili that is present. They help to attach two bacterial cells during the process of genetic recombination or gene transfer. So, these are the basic structures, all that we can see in a bacterial cell. So, some of these structures are always present like the cell wall, membrane, the DNA nucleoid, the 70S ribosome, storage granules, etc. Some structures are sometimes found in a bacterial cell like the flagellum, capsule, pili, plasmid, mesosome and the photosynthetic lamellae. They are sometimes found in the bacterial cell. So, now we shall see some of the characters of the eubacterial cells. So, eubacterial cell is discussed and the structure we have seen. So, in the next slide we see how the bacteria, eubacteria or the monerans generally reproduce. So, in the characteristic of reproduction, the bacteria mainly reproduce by binary fission. So, what happens during binary fission? Binary fission is the most common type of reproduction in the bacteria. So, during binary fission, the parent cell will elongate. It will take up more nutrition and it will grow in size, it will elongate in the first step. The DNA that is present is in the form of a coil structure at the center of the cell, as you can see in the figure. The DNA then replicates inside the cell, and the replication starts from a point which is called as the origin of replication, and the parent DNA, it replicates or duplicates into two copies, as you can see in the diagram. So, when there are two copies formed of DNA, these two copies move to either sides or opposite sides of the cell. After they start moving, a central constriction or a pinch is created at the center of the cell, and this invaginates inside to form the cell wall, and then cytokinesis occurs or the division of the cytoplasm occurs, dividing the cells into two daughter cells. So, this is the basic reproduction method which is called as binary fission. So, in binary fission, the time that is required by the bacterial cell to divide and generate two bacterial cell or form two bacterial cell is known as the generation time. So, the generation time for bacteria like Escherichia coli may be between 15 to 20 minutes. As the process is much simple, the bacteria replicate at a faster rate. So, this is the process of binary fission. Sometimes under unfavorable conditions, the bacteria may survive or they can perinate, or they will remain in a resting condition during the entire unfavorable period. So, for surviving such periods, they can produce the formation of endospore or the cyst-like forms. So, endospores here is a feature of the bacterial cell, and endospores are the internal spores produced inside a bacterium. So, the internal spore that is produced in a bacterium is called as an endospore. The endospore, however, is present or formed only in some of the bacterial species like Clostridium and Bacillus. Many bacteria are not able to produce the endospore. So, endospores are actually highly resistant spores, and these resistant spores are very thick walled and they can tolerate a temperature of above 50 degrees Celsius to minus 100 degrees Celsius. They are also resistant to different types of chemicals and they can survive much unfavorable condition. So, what is the structure of the endospore? So, the endospore, as you can see in the figure, it consists of the internal core. This core contains the DNA and small amounts of cytoplasm which is present and is surrounded by a cortex layer. The cortex is further surrounded by the spore coat and then you have an exosporium layer around the endospore. So, what makes the endospore so resistant is the endospore contains dipicolinic acid and calcium ions. So, this dipicolinic acid and calcium ion make it highly resistant to higher or lower temperature, the different pH that is present in the environment. So, they become highly resistant spores. In case of bacteria, the other characteristic feature is genetic recombination. In the bacterium, we do not see true sexual forms, that is male and female forms of the bacterium is not found, but we see that they can undergo genetic recombination. So, genetic recombination involves the transfer of donor DNA to the recipient DNA to produce a new form which is recombinant. So, it can be of 3 types and this genetic recombination we see is of 3 types. What are the 3 types? One is called as transformation, the second is called as conjugation and the third is called as transduction. So, what happens during these genetic transfer or genetic recombination? So, transformation can be defined as a process where the bacterium is able to take up DNA of some other bacteria that is present in its external environment. So, this is one recipient DNA. If it is growing in a medium where there are certain DNA segments of some other bacterium, then it may be able to take up this bacterium into its own DNA. So, whenever this type of a genetic transfer occurs, then it is called as transformation, commonly seen in the 2 forms of Diplococcus pneumoniae, the R type and S type, which can exchange their bacterial DNAs or segments of DNA which can be taken up from the outer environment. So, it is the transfer of DNA from the external environment. Then comes the conjugation process. The conjugation process is found in bacterium like Escherichia coli. What happens during conjugation is it is the transfer of DNA by direct contact. So, we have 2 E. coli cells. These 2 E. coli cells, one is having the pili and the other is without the pili. So, here this has, in addition to the main DNA, has a plasmid which is called as the F plasmid, and it is also having the gene for the synthesis of the pili, whereas the F minus form, so this is the F plus form and this is the F minus form of the E. coli. So, this F minus form has its main DNA but does not have the plasmid. So, during conjugation, the one of the pili here, it connects to the cell of the F minus cell, forming a conjugation tube. So this is a conjugation tube formed by the pili. So this pili is called the sex pili, and then the F plasmid present in the donor bacterial cell, it replicates into 2 copies. 1 copy moves into the F minus cell. So what is formed after this is that this F minus cell is then transformed into a F plus cell. This F plus cell is called a recombined F plus cell, which we can commonly see in the Escherichia coli bacteria. So this is the second type of genetic transfer, which is called as conjugation. The third type of genetic transfer is transduction. So what happens in transduction? The transfer of DNA segment from the donor bacterium to the recipient bacterium is mediated by a bacteriophage. So what is a bacteriophage? Bacteriophage is a virus that infects certain bacterium. So here the mediator is a bacteriophage, as in Salmonella typhi. So here, if this is a bacterium cell, this is a bacteriophage which infects the bacterium. When it inserts its DNA, the DNA may get some pieces of the bacterial DNA, and whenever this phage again comes out and infects another bacterium, it may transfer this segment of bacterial DNA to the recipient bacterium. So these are 3 different forms of genetic recombination in case of bacteria. So we have seen the general characteristic features of the eubacterial monerans and how they reproduce and what is the basic structure of their cell. So the nutrition method in case of the bacterial cell here can be photoautotrophic, or they can be chemoautotrophic, or they can be heterotrophic. So when nutrition is heterotrophic, these bacteria are either parasites, they are either saprophytes, sometimes symbionts, and the autotrophic forms, when they use light as source of energy, they become photoautotrophic form, contain bacteriochlorophyll or bacterioviridin to carry out photosynthesis process. When they are chemoautotrophic, they break down the larger chemical compounds to first release energy. Utilizing that energy, they convert carbon dioxide into carbohydrate or glucose. So that are different types of nutritional methods that we can see in the bacterium. So let's move on to the next group of monerans. The next group of monerans are archaebacteria. So the first group that we saw was the eubacteria or the present day bacterial forms. The second is the archaebacterial form. So what we mean by archaea? Archaea is ancient or the primitive forms of bacteria. So these are ancient bacteria which are said to have originated in the extreme conditions of the biosphere. That is, when life started on the earth's surface, when the atmospheric conditions were extreme, either extremely hot or cold, or it was acidic. All these conditions are called extreme conditions of the environment. Some of these bacteria are still found today in such extreme conditions, and so they are also considered to be the oldest living fossil. So what we mean by a living fossil is a primitive type of organism where a few members are also seen today in the present condition. So archaebacteria are slightly different from the eubacterial forms. Archaebacteria are characterized by a cell wall which is made up of non-cellulosic polysaccharides and the proteins instead of peptidoglycan. So as we had discussed, the cell wall of eubacteria was made up of peptidoglycan or murin, whereas archaebacterial cell wall is made up of non-cellulosic polysaccharide. So they are more resistant to the extreme conditions of the environment. These archaebacteria can be further divided into 3 types based on the environment in which they are found. So they can be divided into methanogens, they can be divided into halophiles and thermoacidophiles. So what are these 3 groups of archaebacteria? Coming first to the methanogens. So methanogens, as the name indicates, are methane producing bacteria. So where they are found? They are found in anaerobic conditions where oxygen is not required. So they are found in the swamp areas, marshy areas where water remains stagnant, there is oxygen deficit, and also in the rumen of cattle. Rumen is the first part of the gut of the cattle. So what methanogens do is that they ferment cellulosic polysaccharides. So cellulose is the main constituent of any plant cell wall. Any plant material containing cellulosic polysaccharide will be fermented by these methanogenic bacteria in absence of oxygen to release methane gas, small amounts of carbon dioxide, also hydrogen sulfide. So the fermentation of these cellulosic polysaccharides are occurring by the help of the methanogen. So example of methanogenic bacteria are Methanobacterium and Methanococcus. So presently we use the methanogenic bacteria in the biogas plants. So the biogas plants or the gobar gas plants where we dump the plant waste material like your straw or the cabbage leaves or other plant waste material, and they produce biogas, which is basically methane gas released by such bacterium like Methanobacterium and Methanococcus. The second group of archaebacteria are halophiles. So halos means salt. So these are phile is loving. So these are bacteria that like to grow in extreme saline condition where the amount of salt is high. So where we find such conditions? We can find them near the seas like the tidal pool, the brine or saltwater areas, salted fish that is made. So on these structures also we can sometimes find many bacteria growing. They are called as the halophiles. So halophiles, in presence of sunlight, they develop a purple pigment called bacteriorhodopsin, and this bacteriorhodopsin, it traps sunlight to produce ATP, but it is not able to produce glucose from carbon dioxide. So the example of halophile is Halobacterium and Halococcus. The next group, third group of archaebacteria is thermoacidophiles. So here there are two terms, one is thermo, the second term is acido, and these are bacteria that love to grow in a high temperature with acidic condition. So these are aerobic bacteria which are found in the hot sulfur springs. As we know, many places the water is hot to touch, and they are aerobic bacteria which can survive in a temperature of about 80 degrees Celsius and low pH or acidic pH. So under aerobic condition, they will oxidize sulfur to sulfuric acid. So many times the hot water springs are said to be health beneficial to remove or to cure different skin diseases. This is because of release of these sulfur in the water and to hydrogen sulfide in the anaerobic condition. Example of the thermoacidophiles are Sulfolobus and Thermoplasma. The next group of organism in the monerans are the cyanobacteria. Here cyano means blue, and these bacteria were commonly known as the blue-green algae. They are gram-negative in their character, and these bacteria are photosynthetic. So, these photosynthetic bacteria-like forms, they perform oxygenic photosynthesis, whereas that means oxygen is released as in case of the higher plants, whereas eubacterial photosynthetic forms do not release oxygen. So, that is anoxygenic photosynthesis that occurs in the eubacteria. The cyanobacteria are also prokaryotic. They can be unicellular, they can be colonial forms, or sometimes filamentous forms. The cell wall, as it is a prokaryote, is made up of peptidoglycan. They are all photosynthetic in character. So, the photosynthetic lamellae that is present is called thylakoid. They have the chlorophyll pigment, that is basically chlorophyll A, and the blue color giving pigment, that is called C-phycocyanin. So, cyanin is blue in color, and C-phycoerythrin, which is reddish in color. So, C-phycocyanin is the major pigment in the cyanobacteria, giving it the bluish color, chlorophyll giving the greenish color. So, it appears blue-green in color. So, there are certain species of cyanobacteria like the nostoc, which have special cells called heterocyst cell, large cells in their filament, which are the site of nitrogen fixation. So, nitrogen fixation is a process where atmospheric nitrogen is fixed and converted into ammonia due to presence of the gene or enzyme nitrogenase. So, nitrogenase is synthesized by the NIF gene. So, it is present in the heterocyst cells of some of the bacteria. Like any prokaryote, they also reproduce by binary fission. Their filaments can fragment or break into pieces, which is called fragmentation. They can produce thick-walled spore-like structures called acinids. Exospores or endospore formation can also occur in the cyanobacteria. So, what are the examples of such cyanobacteria? We have nostoc, Anabaena, Spirulina, Oscillatoria, Toliprodhrix, etc. are the different cyanobacterial forms. What is the significance of the cyanobacteria? Nostoc and Spirulina are used as protein source. There are nitrogen fixing forms, and also sometimes they cause algal bloom like in Microcystis. The last group here is Mycoplasma. They are the smallest prokaryotic organism and known as pleuropneumonia like organisms, PPLOs. They do not have a cell wall like other prokaryotes, but they have a 3-member layered cell membrane which is trilamellar, and again they have 70S ribosomes, fatty acids and proteins, and the DNA here is much long, coiled and extends throughout the entire cell. These are facultative anaerobes and they cause diseases like witch's broom in the plant, aster yellow, corn stunt, little leaf of brinjal, and animal diseases like arthritis and pneumonia. So, the Mycoplasma are the smallest prokaryotic organism or the smallest organisms in this kingdom. So, these were the different groups of the organisms under kingdom Monera. So, kingdom Monera consists of your eubacteria, the archaebacteria, the cyanobacteria and the Mycoplasma forms of organisms. Hope you have well understood today's lecture, and the next class we shall discuss about kingdom Protista and the classification of kingdom Protista into different groups. Thank you all. Have a good day.